back, everybody, to A&M Reviews. It's Muhammad and Adrian. We're here to review the film Tenet. It's a film by director Christopher Nolan. Tenet tells the story of this secret agent who gets pulled into this kind of like new agency. He gets put on this mission that is only built for him at the moment, and he's thrust into it where there's a lot of time bending involved, and if he doesn't pass this mission, then it's basically the end of the world. But what did you get from Tenet?
So it's a really interesting story. It's one of those where you kind of start watching really in the middle of a journey rather than the beginning, and you, along with the main character, are on for this ride. The protagonist, as they refer to him, John David Washington's character, he is the main lead for this. He's the main operative, essentially a super good soldier. Reminds me of like Captain America before he was Captain America, right? He's willing to do anything for his country, for his mission. And he does that, and as a reward, or so he thinks, he is given this new task. And as he's finding out more and more about this mission, people don't really know what the mission is. It's so top secret that they only know parts of the mission. And he's trying to put together this puzzle to get through it all. Along the way, he meets a man named Neil, who is someone who's just going to help him. He thought just to get into one of the gun lords or arm dealers houses, and Neil becomes a friend and definitely a partner throughout the whole journey. Neil is played by Robert Patterson in this. I would imagine this is something that people might look for in his Batman role, kind of how he was behaving in this film. He's had some other edgier films than this, but we have like Michael Caine is in this, who I will think will forever be Master Wayne. I love the way he said that in Dark Knight, but when he was Alfred, he's my Alfred, Michael Caine. So glad to see that he was back in a Christopher Nolan film as well.
He's always in a Christopher Nolan film,
right? And really, it's very, in the summary we were giving is pretty vague because it's a really complex storyline and hard to digest until you watch it again. I watched it twice. I think you watched it twice.
Yes.
Because it's, and watching it twice, it kind of feels like you're, to me, a part of the film because of the whole premise of it and knowing what happens in the future. I will say, before we start going into too much of the story, I will say it's not one of those like kill baby Hitler situations, going back in time and seeing what'll change. They do my favorite line before we begin breaking it down was from one of the scientists, and her line was, "Don't try to understand it." And I feel like that's exactly what the director and the writers don't try to understand this. Just
feel it. Just feel it. Those were her words.
Yeah.
And she literally just shows up for that one scene and just never shows up again.
Exposition. That's what we need.
Oh, this is exposition heavy. That's
but it's required.
Most of this movie.
You need that. You could argue the entire movie is exposition to a movie we don't see.
Yeah.
I want the other half of the story. That's what I want.
Okay. All right. Well, before we get into a lot of the details, I'm just going to give you just my thoughts on it. So I did watch this movie twice, and, I did enjoy it the first time. It was very confusing. On my second viewing, it's almost like I found this movie to be a chore. I liked it even less the second time around. I did start to understand more stuff, but when it came down to it, the concept really wasn't as interesting as the director wants it to be, because I wanted this to be like an Inception, and it does have similar elements and even some of the same type of people when it comes down to the casting. Like with Michael Caine, he shows up again,
right,
doing his thing,
being British.
Yeah, being British and snobby, because he definitely is in his tiny part. You got the villain who is like a foreign guy with an accent that you can kind of understand at times, but don't. And just like in
really
Inception, they have the Asian guy.
Subtitles the second time.
And they have the Asian guy with the same heavy accent in Inception.
Yeah.
You got Indian woman in this movie, but the Indian guy in Inception, it's like he just
Himesh Patel
lines everything up.
Inception, almost the same role he's playing, driving a vehicle, and that's it.
Yeah, definitely. It's like he's just putting out a formula here. But it does have a lot of similarities to Inception, but I think Inception just has a way better concept that I enjoyed better. But for this, it didn't justify the means.
I think in watching it, I had thought about Inception. There are some things that remind me of it, but I think they are very different movies. I think the only thing they have in common is a sci-fi element that could be reality, but we never know, and a very suave lead role. But other than that, I don't think they're the same at all. Like I don't think this is definitely not better than Inception, but I don't think they're worth comparing.
It compares in the minor details. I mean, just from the casting and a little bit of the concept, but they're totally different realms of movies.
Yeah.
They're not even really the same at all. The thing that is really the same is just the concept of time and how it moves and flows and all of that.
Yes.
But nothing dealing with dreams or a dream within a dream. But Tenet, I mean, it's an interesting one. I definitely like the cinematic feel of it. I wish I could have seen it in a movie theater, but there's a lot of action scenes that are amazingly shot. But I feel a disconnect with the movie because I didn't care about the characters. But I mean, we'll get into all of that. Thanks for watching. And if you would like to be featured on our podcast, make sure to click the link in the description.